Okay, so this is our youth panel. We're gonna start off with some questions and we're gonna get their perspective on this. So the first question, first of all, what I'm gonna do is allow them to introduce themselves and tell you all their name in the school that they're attending, their grade.
My name is Jessica Ferris. I'm a rising senior at John Overton.
My name is Nyla White. I'm taking Jordan Agaby's place, and I am a rising junior at Overton.
My name is Bailey Moore. I am a rising senior at Hillsborough.
My name is Dominic Cotton. I'm a rising senior at Montgomery Bell Academy, and I'll add one extra fact. I was an intern at the NCRB this year for the second year.
My name is Caleb Thompson. I'm a rising sophomore at Stratford.
My name is Brody Bullard, and I'm a rising senior at Waste Creek.
Okay, so the first question is, how do you feel, I'm sorry, that's the wrong question. The first question was, what are some of the most common mental health challenges you see among your peers today? The most common mental health challenges you see among your peers today? Any one of you all?
The one that I see most, what I would say, is depression, just because a lot of, kids have family issues or things that you're going through, or like, just when you're younger, things seem a lot bigger than they actually are. And so you just feel certain emotions, and like, you're so young and you don't understand how to deal with them. And so you kind of let them overtake you and go into like a depressive state.
Is this one? Okay, there we go. I would say the same thing, which is depression. I feel like it's a little bit more simpler than the family thing, though. I think that it can get to a point where it's like your phone. I feel like with the rise of social media, it's usually like you see these things on social media, these beauty standards, these things on social media that are impossible to achieve, and you feel like you have to have it, and you start to develop more and more insecurities, and you start to get anxious and anxiety and stuff like that. So that's what I would say.
So how could, in your opinions, can someone else on the panel answer, what would be a solution? How can we support those peers in feeling those ways with those issues that they have as far as those mental health issues as a peer?
I would say believing kids when we say we're struggling. A lot of the times when it comes to women, you're on your period or you're being overdramatic. When it comes to men, you're being a whiny baby and you need to grow up. It's these expectations to where because we're growing, our feelings are not valid, and it's not the same because we don't pay bills or we have a roof over our head, and we're good kids, so you're fine, you're just being overdramatic. The biggest issue is we're not believing children, and it gets to a point to where it becomes damaging to them, and then they have to deal with that in their adulthood alone. And once we start having community where it's okay for boys to cry, it's okay for women, not everything is about you being on your period, and actually like having therapy more normalized and having healthy therapists who don't violate HIPAA, which is what I've been told a lot by other kids who refuse to go see therapists because they tell their mom everything, which is obviously a HIPAA violation. So having a healthy community is what would allow these teenagers, especially with the way the world is evolving, it's becoming more of an anxious place for the teenagers than I would say that it was before COVID even. Maybe a little in the 2000s, there's a more added stress with how the world is collapsing on such an international level.
Can we get someone on the other end to respond to that?
I think just having a more accessible way for children to talk to people, like sort of what she said, just a safer place where information isn't like shared, it's a more personal experience.
I agree on what she said and what he said as well. I feel like a lot of like mental health challenges that I see, especially in like the schools that I go to or like the schools that I'm around, is I see a lot of like hidden like stuff. Like people don't like to show their emotions, so they do different things to cope with them. So they'll smoke weed, they'll be in a gang, or like just things that kids have no business doing at their age, being as young as they are, trying to be older because everybody else tells them, like she said, grow up, you're too this, you're too that, you need to be, you know. So having expectations on them as how they're trying to grow, you know, trying to develop, I feel like if it was more like stress-free areas as well, like more guidance counselors that actually talk to you and not just, you know, be in the school. Because I have guidance counselors that just stare at people. I'm intimidated myself, you know. So yeah, just people that you can actually talk to, that actually have a conversation. Nowadays, to be honest, I don't even talk to my guidance counselor. I talk to teachers. That's why kids have favorite teachers. Those are more like the guidance counselors than the actual guidance counselors, because they're nowhere to be found half the time. And they're always doing something else than what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I hear you all. You're saying that as parents or guardians or those people who are taking care of children, that you do need to listen. You need to say that if you're saying you're having an issue, that we need to take those things serious, and we need to be able to be open to hearing your voice and what you have to say. Taking that in consideration, taking it seriously, and with a mind of understanding, and not always being judgmental. How do you think that peer pressure on social media can make youth more vulnerable to exploitation or manipulation?
So I feel like peer pressure on social media can affect that in sort of the way that influencers can affect it as well. I think that you know, when you see influencers doing this certain thing, it's influencing children to do things that they may not have ever wanted to do before they saw it on TikTok. You know, it's I feel like it's common for everything to kind of be seen as like trendy. It's like everything comes and goes, and so whether that be with like clothing or in this case just influencing actions, I think that that could be an example of peer pressure. On a more local level, I feel like you know, there's a lot of things on social media that can be taken and spread. For example, child pornography. I think that can easily be accessible on social media, and I feel like that's a huge problem, especially with men. I think that can lead to a lot of peer pressure, especially with young men. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I guess I'll go going off of what he said. Social media is definitely a massive factor, and I will say it makes it easier for those criminal and very disgusting groups to be able to easily get together and access these disgusting things. And it's become an increase of these videos and these activities because there's an increased amount of people who are like, hey, I can get to this easily without being criminally investigated. And also with social media, the beauty standards are way more strict and unattainable because all it is surgery and photo editing. And these girls and boys are doing these unhealthy things, steroids, trying to like eat these terrible things to make themselves look like that. And when they don't, I found a lot of girls specifically go through lengths to feel that joy of feeling like they're beautiful from guys and going to figure out ways how to attain that in very unhealthy ways for them, which is becoming extremely toxic, especially for girls like under the age of 18.
I think when you on Instagram or you on TikTok or you on any type of like social media platform, you'll see something and it could go viral and you'll be like, oh, I need to do that, because you might think that it'll get you the same fame or it could get you the same, like, views and stuff like that. So I think kids shouldn't have Instagram or they shouldn't have TikTok. They shouldn't have none of these apps, because it can make you do something that you really don't want to do, but you do it just because you want somebody to say, oh, he did it or she did it. And it could bring you a certain type of fame or views and stuff. So I feel like, that could manipulate you and make you something that you don't want to do or make you be somebody who you don't want to be.
Well, thank you for that. And I was going to come with a perspective from a parent's perspective. So I agree with Mr. Brody. I'm saying we're talking about solutions. So my solution, and if you can help me out, young people, but my solution, because all this thing is happening on social media, I would say don't have TikTok, don't have Facebook, don't have these things. But if there's another alternative, then how, as a parent or a teacher or those people that are in your life that influence you in a positive way, then how would you say, what do we need to do? Because as a parent, I'm saying, I agree, ditto, concur, audit, no social media. Go ahead.
I would say, personally, I want to touch base with someone, but I would definitely say that to a certain age, I feel like children and like preteens definitely shouldn't have like as much social media as they do have nowadays. But also, I feel like it's how you talk to your children, how how much you're around your children, how much you have conversations about certain things with your children. Because if you're, I know a lot of parents do hard things, they do hard work, but if you're still doing all that and you still don't have time for your child, then that comes into play with the like, I'm bored, let me do this. And then it gets more off of like I don't have nothing to do. Ooh, they went famous for this, I want to go famous for this. Because they have nothing in their free time. They don't really know how to make the correct choices of their own choice. Like they don't know the better between like, no, let me not do this, or like ooh, I could go famous. So I really just feel like it's how much you incorporate that in with your children, or how much you talk about it with your children. Because they're still, at the end of the day, gonna have their mind of their own. Like if you tell your child, most of the time, when parents tell you to do something, they're always gonna do the opposite. Most of the time. Depending on your child, most of the time they're gonna do the opposite. Because sometimes, my mom might tell me do this, do that. I'm gonna do the opposite. It really just depends on how like you raise your child and how much you instill like the right from wrong. Like don't do that. And then to touch bases on the peer pressure, I feel like a lot of days it's more so like expected. Like, especially with this generation that's coming up now, I feel like it's more so like, oh, he don't like me because I'm not like this. Like, oh, he won't talk to me because I'm not like this. I'm not doing this. Like, I feel like the showing your body to people that you feel comfortable with is more so expected nowadays with the generation now. So that really is based off of like your friends. Like, your friends are not always your friends. Like, you can say somebody's my friend, but at the end of the day, if they're telling you to do something that you're like, I don't know if I should, and they're telling you you should do it, overall, you should look back at it. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a lot of peer pressure, and it's a lot of like, okay, like everything is like swept under the rug, and it's okay to do this, it's okay to do that. It's okay to talk about things to, you're 18, you're 17, and you're talking about things that 12-year-olds shouldn't know. But that's okay nowadays. it just gets swept under the rug because, oh, that's my cousin, oh, that's my friend, oh, he lives in my neighborhood. So I feel like that's a big part of like peer pressure as well.
Kind of like what she said with the social media, like just it depends on how you talk to your kids, and like when you give them access to it, like monitoring them. Like when I first got like just like Snapchat or Instagram, my mom would just go see what I was doing to make sure like I wasn't using it the wrong way. And also, I think parents should kind of base that off of like where your child is in life and what certain things they can do and what they don't do and what they should do and what they know they shouldn't do, sort of like not giving it to them too early so they don't make bad decisions with it.
And my thing is, like they said, how your parents talk to you about it. I'll say my mom, like she grew up in the 90s, and she was always told she was really dark skinned. She's gonna have to bleach her skin by her grandma. She needs a perm because her hair is too curly. When she had me, when she told me the story about 4 years ago, I asked her, Mommy, I want my hair straight like yours. And you see, I have very curly, coily hair. And after that, she stopped perming her hair. She cut it. She let it grow out. And when I heard this story talk about her having me, she learned that she needs to love herself to teach me how to love myself. That increased my love for myself 10,000%. And that is what a lot of these young girls and men are lacking. Their parents aren't teaching them self-love because their parents don't have self-love. And that is something that needs to be improved, especially a lot of the criticism that people get when they're younger in their looks. And I didn't have Snapchat until I was 16. I didn't have TikTok until, I had it, but my mama didn't know. She did. Till I was 16. We all think we sneaky. I learned that I was not. And we communicate about it. And it's the biggest thing is monitoring. Strict parents create sneaky kids. And the stricter you are, the more the kids are going to figure out how to get around that. And that is what a lot of people, the more you monitor, we want to do what you don't want us to do. It's going to happen. So for figuring out how to, because each kid is different, communicate with your kid in a healthy manner is what a lot of these parents are lacking, and not taking too much from them. And that is a very hard balance to have.
Also, I feel like the phrase of being told, like, I'm not your friend, getting told that a lot, it builds like a wall of like, I really don't want to tell you, like, what I would tell my friends. So I feel like I understand like that I'm not your friend on the respect level, but on like the communication level, I feel like it's okay for you, to like be like, ooh, I don't want to hear this, but it's what my child wants to tell me. And I feel like the constantly being told like, I'm not your friend, you not my mama, like it just builds a level of like, well, I don't want to tell you everything like I would tell you, but because of like, I don't feel like we have that type of like, we're friends, you know what I mean? So I feel like the more and more people or parents build on the not this and not that, it's like the less and less kids want to express themselves.
Okay, I hear you guys. Thank you. I was going to come back and say something. I don't have nothing to say. But I hear you, and I'm going to do better because I'm not your friend. Do as I say. Okay. So the last question for sake of time, and then we'll break out. How does gun violence affect your sense of safety at school, in your neighborhood, or during social events?
For me, well, at school, I feel pretty safe. So it doesn't really affect me, but and at home I feel pretty safe too. Just like social events, I probably try to be a little bit more aware, just because like young people now kind of have stuff they shouldn't, pertaining to like guns and stuff, and kind of are quick to just do stuff that could hurt people. So I just tend to kind of be more aware of my surroundings and what people around me are doing, so I don't end up in the middle of anything.
I feel safe at school too, but like he said, like nowadays, younger kids, we have like more, I would say like more like access to get things, and a lot of people, they obtain a lot of stuff that they shouldn't have. So I feel like we need more, he said,
SRO.
SR.
Resource Officer.
School, we need more school resource officers to walk around and be there and help people and talk to them about why they have certain things, instead of just bringing them down all the time. They ask them why do they have certain things, to get more of a background check so they could get more of a more understanding of life. And like, even though some people feel safe, a lot of people don't, and the people that don't, they need to be able to feel like, okay, I can walk in here without feeling like something's gonna happen to me, or stuff like that. So I feel like we need more officers around to be there for people, but not just to arrest them and stuff like that, but to also help them and get more of a background check so they could be better in the future.
Well, I was gonna tie this more to something like about my parents, because I know we've talked about parents a lot. And it's, my mom has always just kind of told me, like, don't be out if you don't need to. And I know for youth, that's like, oh, like, I want to be out with my friends, I want to hang out, I want to do stuff. It's like, yes, you can hang out, but it's like, you don't need to be out all the time. Like, if you can be home, or if you can be doing something else, or if you can be home with your friends, like, you can. Like, you don't always have to be out. So it's just like, yes, we want to feel safe where we're at, but it's like, sometimes that's just not possible. And so if you can like protect yourself and look out for yourself, like you should. But yeah, like personally, there's like, when I am going out public spaces, like I don't feel safe that much, or like feel like I need to be more aware, as they said. So yeah, but during school and stuff, there's like, I think we have 2 or 3 resource officers around our school, so I feel pretty safe. Like if anything were to happen, like I know they'll respond immediately.
Sorry. I was gonna say, I do feel pretty safe in my neighborhood. I just feel like me personally, I don't feel safe for others. It's not even like about me. I feel like others, like some people are too like open to stuff, and that's where it becomes a problem. Like me personally, at school is safe, but at after school events, like SGA events, sometimes it's SROs here and there, you know what I mean? Like it's not really anybody always there. So I do feel like, it's an issue.
I was just gonna say, it kind of depends on where I'm at. I don't really go out to parties because a lot of, especially as I've gotten older, there are easier access to weapons. And I feel like as time has gone on, weapons have been increased and more easily accessible, especially for people like between the ages of 16 and 18. And so I don't go to parties anymore, really. I go to Hillsborough in October. Someone brought a gun to school. And we were in lockdown for like 3 hours. We didn't know if someone had shot. We didn't know what had gone on. It was just rumors spread around on Instagram, and that was absolutely terrifying. They didn't really do anything to increase safety matters until the Antioch shooting in February. That gun being brought to school beforehand, because one of the students said something, should have increased safety measures, but they didn't do it until multiple people actually got hurt. And then we got the day off, next day. And that is the issue. A lot of times people don't take the warning seriously until somebody gets hurt. And agreeing with what she said, I don't feel like I'm in danger. I feel like people don't take enough precaution and put themselves in danger, and don't improve safety matters when they need to be improved.
I would like to say that, in my neighborhood, I feel pretty safe. Nothing really goes around in my neighborhood. I've always had a sort of guard up when I'm in public, especially during night. And that's for two reasons. One, because like everyone has said, that there are kids who have access to guns when they shouldn't have it, but also just being out late and driving. I always, I think I'm the only one here who drives, right? Yeah. That I've always, even once I've been driving, not actually, but I've been learning how to drive since I was 9. And since I started doing that, my mom has always had this importance on what to do if I get pulled over. Because it's so easy for the slightest movement and your life has gone like that. And so especially at night, I feel like there are more police officers, there are more things that are happening, and there's just a much higher risk of me getting pulled over. And what happens if I meet that one cop that isn't like maybe some of the officers that are here today, who want to hear things like this and want to be advised on what they can do better? What if they're ignorant? What if they see the slightest thing where I'm trying to get to my license and they think that I'm reaching for a gun? And so I feel like that is something that I feel like I'm not safe with. And I'm not sure if I ever will feel safe with that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I think that you all did come up with some resolutions. You do need to be more aware of your situations. I think that was good. And safety, I guess, is conversations that we need to have more conversations with the SROs in your school, knowing that their presence, having more presence. We talked about that before. I think that that's a real thing. So we're going to move on. I think if you could give it. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. Thank you for that.